Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna speak about the official announcement that has been made for Jake Paul to face Anthony Joshua December 19th and what our exact thoughts are on this situation. We're gonna talk about Fabio Wardley being crowned the WBO champ after Alexander Usyk relinquished the title. We're going to talk about Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn possibly being a fight that's on the horizon and much more. You see what I'm saying? But before we get into that, if y'all can please hit the like button on the way in, that'll be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,200 mark, about to hit that 3,300 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. Y'all please go ahead and hit the likes. Let's hit the likes. Let's get the algorithm on the up so the people know that Mazuma TV is live. You dig? What's going on? What's going on? How we feeling? I see the comments rolling in. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes. I appreciate that very much, brothers and sisters. What's going on? How we feeling? How's y'all day been going? I'm feeling well. I hope y'all feeling the same or at least better. Y'all let me know. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Agent 86, what up with the first comment? What up? Lorenzo and the motherfucking Benzo, what up? J Cash, what's going on, brother? Coffee Plant said interview tomorrow. Absolutely. We got that interview with Bruce Shushu Carrington going on tomorrow afternoon, man, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We definitely going to have a good interview. We got about a half hour, so we got plenty to talk about. You know what I mean? I want you guys in the building. I want you guys to come through, show y'all love, hit them likes. You know what I mean? Be active in the chat. You feel what I mean? Leave y'all thoughts and opinions, man. Leave y'all super chats. If y'all got a question for Bruce Shushu Carrington, man, somebody who's currently the WBC interim champion at 126 pounds and shit within a fight or two might actually fight for, a legit world title. He's calling out, Rafael Espinoza. He's called out the Stephen Fultons of the world. You know what I mean? He's looking to get any opportunity he can, man. He's 28. You know what I mean? At the peak of his powers, came off of the best performance of his career, in my opinion, and his latest bout. He looking to make a statement in an action-packed division. So, we definitely going to chop it up with him and see what's up, man. I just want to shout out Atif O'Burlton, Lord Pretty Calvo, for making that interview possible. You see what I'm saying? We're definitely going to have a good one. Age 86 said good so far. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Salute. What's going on? What's going on? He said he be working with Aaron the Plumber. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I wish I had a bigger following. I would love to fight Aaron the Plumber. I would love to fight Aaron the Plumber, bro. Seriously. I wish I had a bigger following. If I had like 100K subs, man, I'd have ran into some money, y'all. He not too big. No, he not. He only about they said he was like he like, you can tell he's strong. He got muscles. But you know what I mean, he not necessarily bigger than me. You know what I mean? He more muscular than me, but he not bigger than me at all. He said, fantastic day. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Good to hear. Yeah, I would definitely watch him. I would definitely watch him. In my opinion. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. It's not possible. I don't got what it take. Do muscles mean something, Mark? Not in boxing. Did muscles mean anything when Andy Ruiz whooped AJ ass in New York? Did muscles mean anything when Manny Pacquiao whooped Tim Bradley ass? No. How about when Robert Guerrero beat up Andre Berto? Shit don't mean nothing, man. It don't. Muscle or not. I mean, I'm sure he's physically strong than a motherfucker, but that's not what we competing in. We competing in boxing. One thing's for sure, he not as experienced as me. He don't know the game like me. But regardless, it is what it is. We ain't gonna dwell on that, man. We're gonna talk about an absurd fight that we probably never thought would have happened. But it's going on. And at the end of the day, I really don't believe it until these guys get in the ring. You feel what I mean? But I do think the pressure is on Jake Paul to make a big fight happen, especially with Netflix. And I told y'all this, man. I told y'all this. And Mike Cobbinger just confirmed this for us, and I'm gonna put the video up shortly. But I was saying how, the jig is up with Jake Paul. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes. These people ain't sending my notifications out. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, bro. Not even letting people know that my videos are being put out there, bro, getting views that I never get. Like, it is ridiculous, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on. It's like these guys are, holding my channel back. That's what it feels like, in all honesty, bro. But, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Ain't nothing we can do about it. We just gonna continue working. I was telling y'all this, that Jake Paul, considering that he has that, that Netflix, partnership or whatever you want to call it. I was saying how Netflix ain't just gonna pay for no bullshit that he usually puts on. The days of him, as long as he wants to fight on Netflix, those days of him, fighting these old retired MMA fighters or old retired fighters, those days are over, man. Netflix is looking for credible opponents because they understand that at this point in time where Jake Paul is at in his career, they're not going to be willing to pay Jake Paul the big bucks if he's not in there with somebody who the fans don't deem to be a threat to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they lined up the three guys that, they wanted him to fight. They wanted him to fight at Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? Well, of course, Gervonta Davis was one of the ones. Gervonta Davis can't keep his hands off of women. He can't seem to get himself up out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? So then, they went in the Terrence Crawford direction. Terrence Crawford said no. He ain't got time for the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? He on a different type of mission right now. Then they offer Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou act like, that fight was disrespectful for him to take for some reason, as if he was a, legitimate boxer anyway. Bro, you're a mixed martial artist. You took those two fights, in boxing because it made a shit ton of money. You could have made a shit ton of money with Jake Paul and probably would have knocked him out, to be honest with you. But, he chose not to go in that direction. Then they shot Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua seemed to be the only one who was willing to take this, the fight. You feel what I mean? So salute to, Jake, shout out to Anthony Joshua for coming through and, making this happen, because I really want to see Jake Paul get put out of his misery. I ain't going to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? I love what he does as a promoter. I love what he does for my island over in Puerto Rico. El Gallo de Dorado. I get it. I fuck with it. It is what it is. But I do think as a fighter, it's time for him to get packed up and sent about his way. You know what I mean? That's one thing that me and Turkey Al-Sheikh could see eye to eye. You feel what I mean? But something just told me, I'm like, bro, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that Jake Paul is going to be fighting at Anthony Joshua on a month's notice, because the fight's going down December 19th, yo. It's currently November 17th. You feel what I'm saying? So with keeping that in mind, I'm like, bro, there has to be some type of stipulations in place. It has to be something that's going on in this fight that's going to ultimately benefit Jake Paul. Now, shout out to Ring Magazine for putting this together, man, because for real, I didn't see the rules anywhere else, or anywhere at least first, besides, Ring Magazine. You feel what I mean? So they put it out there. They put the rules out there. And I deem this to be credible because Turkey Al-Sheikh, Ring Magazine, they do have a good relationship with Anthony Joshua, so I don't think their information will be fugazi whatsoever. So this is the rules that have been confirmed for the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua fight. And the fact that rules have to be the fact that rules have to be confirmed for a Jake Paul fight just lets you know how ridiculous his fights are and how the shit is really like a fucking circus, because you don't really hear about rules being confirmed for anybody's fights because they legitimate boxers, so they box under the, Queensberry rules from what I understand. So Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, rules confirmed. This is going to be a sanctioned professional fight. Yeah, y'all, this fight will count in the books. This fight right here will count in the books. This will be on BoxRec. This is something that's going to go down in boxing history, professional boxing history. However, these will be 8 3-minute rounds. Now, when I saw that Jake Paul was on Twitter talking about ha, 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 I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? He definitely got something put in place. And I was talking about the whole situation, the possibility of him fighting Anthony Joshua. And I was saying, man, he probably going to make Joshua fight a 10-rounder. I don't know if I said this yesterday. I don't know if I said this the day before. But I did say this verbatim. I said, bro, he probably going to have Anthony Joshua, try to do a 10-rounder knowing he a 12-round fighter. But no, he's making Anthony Joshua do an 8-round fight as a 12-round fighter. Now, how can that be something that could be hurtful to Anthony Joshua? I'm going to tell y'all why. And this is for people, and I'm going to inform people right now that, aren't really too well-versed in the professional boxing industry or how to prepare for a fight, as a professional boxer. I've never been a professional boxer, but I've been a part of multiple training camps, world-class professional training camps, and preparing for a 12-rounder. Anthony Joshua has been fighting 12-rounders for a long time, 10 to 12 rounds. He's been doing this for a long time, essentially since the beginning of his career, to be honest with you, from, Charles Martin all the way, till, recently. You know what I mean? That's been a few years. Preparing for a 12-round fight is totally different. It's a totally different type of preparation in comparison to training for an 8-round fight. You feel what I'm saying? That's a totally different pace. You know what I mean? This could be hurtful or at least hard for Anthony Joshua to adjust to because, for 12 rounds, you pacing yourself. You know what I'm saying? You want to, you get a good indication of, where your gas tank is. You know what I mean? Like, all right, the first 3 rounds, I'm going to cool out. You know what I mean? 4, 5, 6, I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to rest 7 and 8. Then I'm going to try to press the gas 9 through 12. You know what I mean? Like, that's the approach that people have, and that's how they go about these training camps. But now you're being cut 4 rounds. You know what I mean? You're being cut 4 rounds. You have 4 less rounds to work. So now you got to make a whole adjustment, man. It's like, how do I go about this situation? So he's pretty much backtracking. You feel what I mean? So this is definitely going to be a switch up in camp. And then on top of that, what's really concerning just as much, if not more, than the 8 3-minute rounds is the fact that Anthony Joshua can't weigh over 245 pounds. Now, the fact that Jake Paul is putting a fucking weight limit on a heavyweight when heavyweights are known for not having a weight limit is absolutely insane to me. So you cutting off how many rounds you giving this man who's a championship level fighter who prepares for 10, 12 rounds, who has been preparing for 10 to 12 rounds for multiple years. You're restricting him. You're giving him 4 less rounds. So now he has to prepare totally different. All 4 weeks notice. And you telling this man who's about to take this fight on a month's notice that he can't weigh no more than 245. I would love to know what Anthony Joshua's walk around weight is. I would love to know that. What is it that Anthony Joshua walks around at? Because let's say, for instance, AJ is about 265 right now. You're going to make a heavyweight cut 20 pounds in 4 weeks? Do you think that's a healthy cut for a heavyweight? Possibly. You know what I mean? And people was like, oh, well, AJ was 250 in his last fight. Yeah, but he had a full training camp for each one of those fights that he's cut the weight down into. I'm sure he had more than 4 weeks to train. You know what I mean? He might have had double the time. He might have had 8 weeks. Now, if this fight was 8 weeks away or was going on sometime in early 2026, then this wouldn't even be a conversation. Anthony Joshua just got to make the weight. However, this is Anthony Joshua who's coming off of a knockout loss. Probably has been inactive because, when you're on concussion protocol, they really don't advise you to be training whatsoever. So AJ probably done been on this couch, for a good amount of time. You know what I mean? I seen Eddie Hearn saying that he wants to get Anthony Joshua in like a quick fight to, end 2025, because 2026 may very well be his last year as a professional boxer. So, it sounds like Anthony Joshua has been in the gym prepping just in case he gets this opportunity. He's happened to have gotten one. But, Anthony Joshua has accepted these terms at the end of the day. So maybe, 245 is something that's doable. Maybe that's something that's comfortable for him. But to be honest with you, AJ hasn't been that low, hasn't been around that weight range since the last fight he's had with Alexander Usyk, based upon the research that I've done. So that's been a little bit of time. You know what I mean? Usyk has gone on to accomplish, more things since then. Fight Tyson Fury multiple times, Usyk multiple times since then. So, It's definitely been some time, but you know, these are some things that could probably hurt Anthony Joshua. And to be honest, I'm not really surprised if you Jake Paul. If this isn't really a surprise to people who've watched Jake Paul come up. Jake Paul looks for an advantage at all costs. He's not about to step into this ring. He's trying to protect himself. He want to keep the money flowing from boxing for as long as he can. So he's trying to save his ass. You know what I mean? He was already milking the game with fighting, undefeated nobodies in boxing or guys who had good records as professional boxers who were absolute scrubs, nobodies whatsoever with blown up records. Then he's facing, he starts his career facing an NBA player. Then, you fighting overtired MMA fighters. Then you fighting washed up, former trash ass champions like Chavez Jr. Now you want to go in here with Anthony Joshua, who's a heavyweight, but you're restricting him on how much he could weigh, which is like, bro, if that's the case, then why even face a heavyweight? You know what I mean? Like the audacity of Jake Paul, the absolute audacity of Jake Paul to put a fucking weight limit on a heavyweight when you barely put a fucking weight limit on yourself to fight a fucking lightweight. You feel what I'm saying? Like you don't want somebody because you weigh how much you weighed against. How much did Jake Paul weigh against Mike Tyson? He weighed about 220. From what I remember. Let me go do my Googles real quick. When you faced Mike Tyson, you were 227 pounds, brother. You were 227 pounds. You telling me you're bothered by the fact that somebody may come in heavier than you? Bro, you a fucking heavyweight at the end of the day. You a cruiserweight, blown up heavyweight, but nonetheless, you fought at heavyweight. You had no problem with Mike Tyson weighing 228 pounds. You know what I'm saying? You had no problem whatsoever with Mike Tyson coming in at whatever weight he want. But for some reason, with Anthony Joshua, it's a problem. I really don't understand this shit, bro. So it was okay when you were the big guy going in there against Gervonta Davis. But the moment you sign a deal to fight somebody who's significantly bigger than you, all of a sudden you want to have restrictions and, demands. It's like, bro, this dude, Jake Paul, bro, he always do some stupid shit. You can never rely on Jake Paul to have just like a fight where there's no type of restrictions or clauses or anything like that whatsoever. You know what I mean? My boy Ralph in the building, he said Jake want a Rockman situation again where AJ doesn't make the weight limit he has set for him, and then Jake could say AJ didn't meet the standards and has an easy route out of the fight. That I think that's definitely what he did with Hasim Rahman. You know what I mean? That's definitely what he did with Hasim Rahman. Like I remember that clear as day. And this was a little bit early on in his career, so he might have felt like he's gotten better or has gotten more confident since then. But I remember when he signed to fight Hasim Rahman, and he put a weight limit on Hasim and what weight he could come in at. And, because Hasim Rahman didn't make the weight at a certain time or in a certain time frame that, he scrapped the whole fight in its entirety. And he tried to flex on Rahman as if he was unprofessional and things of that nature. But you knew he was a full-blown heavyweight when you met the guy. You know what I mean? When you came across the guy, when you was his sparring partner, you knew he was a heavyweight. You purposely drained him. You know what I mean? You made the fight, first of all, to make it seem like you were willing to face a fellow professional boxer, which wasn't the time that you was on, at that particular time. You were just trying to milk the game. You was trying to learn and develop by facing these old washed up fighters, mixed martial artists. You know what I'm saying? You go in there with Hasim Rahman, Hasim tries to make the weight, and then you toss the fight out as a result because you really didn't want to face an L that early on in your career. You ended up facing it anyway with Tommy Fury. But you didn't want to face a possible L or to fuck up your money that early in your career, so you moved on. Now this fight right here, you fighting Anthony Joshua, a two-time former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Olympic gold medalist, beat some credible opponents like Joseph Parker. You know what I mean? He got his get back with Andy Ruiz. You know what I mean? He beat guys like he beat Pulev, he beat Alexander Povetkin. Dominic Brazil. He's faced a lot of credible opposition. Vladimir Klitschko. So Anthony Joshua. He's done some great things. You feel what I mean? This nigga said AJ just woke up from the Dubois KO. That's crazy. That's a long time to be asleep. That's a coma. That's a coma. That's a coma, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, man, I just knew that it was a little bit too good to be true. And if he gets in the ring and he fights him, I'm gonna give Jake Paul credit regardless. 'Cause even with these limitations that he's putting on Anthony Joshua, it's still a dangerous fucking fight. You know what I'm saying? Because it's possible that Anthony Joshua makes the weight easy. You know what I mean? But there's also a possibility that Anthony Joshua might have to cut into the muscle in order to reach that weight. And in reaching that weight, he may come into that ring, you know, weaker than he plans on being, and that could definitely play in Jake Paul's part as well. I think the 4 or less rounds for Anthony Joshua to work also benefits Jake Paul because Jake Paul, he's been boxing in the 8 to 10 round area. You see what I mean? So that's a pace he's already accustomed to. A pace that he's more familiar with, something that he's done more recently than AJ. So that may, he may have a better understanding of the pace. He's more familiar with how the way the rounds go in that instance. AJ's gonna have to start quick. You know what I mean? He can't really afford to, take 3 rounds off and, start warming up in the 4th because by then you halfway through the fight. You know what I mean? 50% of the fight is behind you. So now what is it that you're gonna do? You feel what I mean? And to be honest with you, I think Jake Paul may be okay with losing this fight with Anthony Joshua, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. Jake Paul doesn't lose in this type of situation regardless. If he beats Anthony Joshua, everybody's gonna have no choice but to say that Jake Paul is a real boxer, so that benefits him. However, if AJ absolutely sparks Jake Paul within, whatever round, between rounds 1 to 8, people are gonna give Jake Paul his credit for facing a true professional boxer. So does Jake Paul really lose at the end of the day if he's getting a crazy bag from Netflix? You know what I mean? Getting props for, possibly defeating a former heavyweight champion, an active heavyweight champion, a champion that still has some gas in the tank, not a 54-year-old Mike Tyson, a 56-year-old Mike Tyson. We're talking about somebody and Anthony Joshua who's still relatively young, coming off of a knockout loss, but still have something in the tank. You know what I mean? You would have no choice but to call him a real boxer as a result. And let's say he gets absolutely chinned. Let's say he gets put to sleep. All right, Jake Paul took a chance that a lot of you motherfuckers in boxing who've been boxing since they was babies, he did something that y'all wouldn't dare to do. Either way, Jake Paul gonna come up. It's really pressure on Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? This is who the pressure is really on in all honesty, because if Anthony Joshua goes the distance with Jake Paul, he's gonna be looked at as a motherfucking joke. You feel what I mean? He's gonna be looked at as a joke. If he loses to Jake Paul, his career is over. It's down the drain. He will never be mentioned amongst the upper echelon heavyweight boxers again. And I would strongly advise him to retire. There's no fucking way. There's no way you beating top heavyweight fighters consistently throughout your career and end up losing to a fucking Jake Paul. There's no way. No way this happens. And if you let's say if you go the distance with Jake Paul, people gonna look at you like you a fucking loser. If you lose to Jake Paul, people gonna shit on you. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of pressure. If AJ, looks slightly unimpressive in this fight, he's gonna face a whole lot of criticism, and that just will come with the game when you participating in circus acts. You know what I mean? If you join the shit show, you know what I mean, you gotta deal with whatever criticism come as a result of that. You know what I mean? You took the money, now you gotta perform, because that might be the last big payday you ever get, depending on how that shit go with Jake. AJ 86, I'm gonna crash out of Jake Paul beat AJ. It's good to see that they fight in the 10-ounce gloves though. You know what I mean? Because I'm surprised he ain't try to throw on some motherfucking sparring gloves on AJ, some 16 to 18-ounce gloves. I'm surprised. I'm like, oh shit, they actually fighting in 10-ounce gloves. Okay, cool. That was surprising to see. But everything else, it don't really come as a surprise, yo. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not surprised that, Jake Paul made it an 8-rounder. Shit, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, shit, he gonna make AJ do a 10-rounder. No, an 8-rounder, which is even worse than what I had anticipated. I'm not surprised that, he pretty much put a fucking weight clause on Anthony Joshua because he's acted funny with people's weights in the past. For example, Hasim Rahman. I remember how he did Hasim. You know what I mean? So we're not surprised, man. Jake Paul's a scary motherfucker. And I seen the little statement that he had put out there, man. Let me see if I can go ahead and see what is it that AJ said. Matter of fact, let me play this video for Mike Coppinger first. Shout out to the boy Ralph. Shout out to the boy Bad Boom Balloon. Bethanuel, what up? Next Gen Combat Sports TV. What's going on, brother? What's going on? Salute to the 21 people that's in the building. Let's go ahead and see what Mike Coppinger has to say about this situation. Let's see what his inside sources have told him.
Basically, what I'm told is Netflix came in and said, look, Jake, we need a legitimate challenger for you now. Here are 3 names: Ryan Garcia, Terrence Crawford, Anthony Joshua. Ryan Garcia unavailable as he tries to close the deal with Mario Barrios. Terrence Crawford, I'm told, said no. So they were left with Anthony Joshua, and Jake Paul's going to make a ton of money, of course. And this is going to be a real heavyweight fight, 8-round fight, 10-ounce gloves, standard. So Jake Paul's biting off a lot here, and you have to give him credit, I think. He's been critical of the opposition in the past, and now he's going to the top level of the sport. Basically, what I'm told is Netflix came in and said, look, Jake.
Yeah, man. I agree with Mike Coppinger in this situation. This is definitely a huge step up for Jake Paul. And like I said, despite the weight limit that he put on AJ, despite the less amount of rounds that AJ is typically accustomed to, this is still very dangerous, man. This is somebody in AJ who punches hard with both hands. I've seen this man knock people out cold with the left hand. I've seen him put people out with the uppercuts. I've seen him hurt people with left hooks. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen AJ do this type of damage against guys who are significantly bigger than Jake Paul. So Jake Paul, I don't know exactly what he got up his sleeve, but what makes him so confident in beating Anthony Joshua, I don't know if it's going to be his feet. I've definitely see, Jake Paul moving, like punching and moving. You feel what I mean? I don't see him sitting in front of AJ whatsoever. I don't see him trying to back AJ up. I think that'll be a suicide mission in all honesty. So I think he's banking on his athleticism. I think he's banking on, I think he's banking on his, mobility. I think he's banking on his overall athleticism to get the job done, because I think we all understand that even though AJ is not the most skilled individual in boxing, he's much more skilled than Jake Paul. You see what I mean? So I don't know what Jake Paul going to pull out his hat. I don't know how he's going to approach this fight with Anthony Joshua, but I do think it would be his best interest to be a moving target and not be a stagnant one, because the moment that you sit in front of AJ a little too long, he's going to be able to wind up that left hook. He's going to end up shooting that right hand right down the pipe. And I don't know if you have the defensive abilities necessary to, counteract that. Like, I don't know if you could do anything about that. You feel what I mean? I've seen Jake Paul get hit clean by fighters who I deem to be less than Anthony Joshua. I've seen him get hit by Tyron Woodley. I've seen him get hit by Tommy Fury. I've seen him get hit by lesser guys. So this is going to be a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul, but this could be a career ender for Anthony Joshua if he goes about it wrong. Let's just keep it 1,000. How are people going to view Anthony Joshua if he were to get dropped by Jake Paul, if he were to lose by Jake Paul, if he was to get a draw with Jake Paul, whatever the case is? Bro, do you know what that'll do to AJ's career? And nobody will ever take him serious. People want to call for retirement immediately. That'll just be an overall embarrassing situation. Jake Paul gas tank is ass, Ralph. That's a great observation. But he seems to be more familiar with the 8-round pace. So I think Jake Paul has an advantage in that particular situation. Preparing for a 12-rounder and preparing for an 8-rounder, two totally different approaches. You know what I mean? And AJ he might be so accustomed to 12-rounders that, he might have a hard time adjusting to fighting an 8-rounder. You feel me? Yeah, and that's why I can understand why somebody like Terrence Crawford really wasn't interested in the Jake Paul fight, because it's like, bro, I'm not getting nothing out of defeating no Jake Paul. You know what I mean? That's a lose-lose for me. So, I'm sure Terrence Crawford looked at it as like a lose-lose situation, and he disregarded it shortly after the fact because it's like you don't really get anything out of beating Jake Paul. And look who he just came off of a victory against, Canelo Alvarez. He's still riding. He's still celebrating that. I'm seeing Crawford out in Uzbekistan. I'm seeing him out in the UK. Man, that boy Terrence Crawford is global, international bud out here in these streets. So yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. Definitely a weird situation. Like I said, I'm hoping that Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua happens, but for some reason, man, just based off of the scary shit that Jake Paul has done in the past, something just leads me to believe that we can't pull. Well, I'm not gonna say that I believe that the fight won't happen. What I'm gonna say is, there's a likelihood that it might not happen, just due to Jake Paul's history and him finding his way up out of fights. Feel me? So let's transition on to the next topic, man. Congratulations to Fabio Wardley for being the newly crowned WBO Heavyweight Champion of the world. Now, people are probably asking, how did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Because as far as I'm concerned, Usyk was, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So shout out to ESPN for putting this article together. It says heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk. Hold on. Heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk vacates WBO world title as Fabio Wardley's elevated. Heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk vacated his WBO world title on Monday, with Britain's Fabio Wardley elevated to full world champion as a result. The WBO confirmed to ESPN on Monday that a 30-year-old Brit will take the belt from Usyk and become full champion, following the announcement that was made confirming the Ukrainian is vacating. Usyk knocked down Danny Dubois in June to become two-time undisputed heavyweight champion, holding all 4 belts. He was then ordered by the WBO to fight the interim champion at the time, Joseph Parker. However, citing injury, Usyk was granted extra time to recover, with Parker choosing to fight Wardley in an effort to stay active. Wardley stunned Parker with an 11-round stoppage to take the interim title, which has resulted in the Englishman being elevated to full heavyweight champion. So it looks like it was a situation where Joseph Parker was pretty much, Alexander Usyk's mandatory. Usyk was like, yo, I'm injured. Can y'all give me more time? Because the WBO gave him more time, I guess Joseph Parker was like, all right, let me give Fabio an opportunity. Fabio defeats Joseph Parker as a result of that. And I guess the WBO was like, yo, we gave you some time. Fabio Wardley just defeated motherfucking Joseph Parker, so we got to fulfill this mandatory. What we doing? Usyk like, man, listen, y'all can go ahead and get this title. I'll come back and get that. I might come back and get that shit later. So as of right now, Alexander Usyk is no longer undisputed, but this is a very similar situation to the Danny Dubois situation where it's like, all right, I'm going to let you go ahead and get this belt real quick, but you better know that I'm coming back to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm coming to go get it right now. That boy Anonymous in the building said Parker got to be so pissed right now, bro. I agree, man. Can you imagine beating all these credible guys, becoming the top contender at heavyweight, on the cusp of fighting for all 4 major belts? Unfortunately, you're not able to because you got people like Turki Al-Sheikh that's not willing to back it financially, along with, Alexander Usyk's site and injury. So you confident, you at the top, you at the peak of your game. You like, yo, let me go ahead and give Fabio an opportunity. Let me go step on Fabio real quick to let these people know who I am. Motherfuckers niggas pulled out a reverse Uno on your ass. You ended up getting fried. You ended up getting stopped. Now Fabio Wardley holds the title that you once had. And out of the blue, Usyk's like, you know what? I don't really want this belt no more. And gives it up. And Fabio is now the world champion that Joseph Parker has been seeking to be. Wow, he's been on a pretty great run. We're talking Julie Zhang. We're talking Deontay Wilder. We're talking Martin Bacoli. All of those moments led up to nothing at the end of the day because Fabio Wardley ended up beating him. ended up taking his position. So, yeah, I get it. If I was Joseph Parker, I'd be a mad motherfucker too. Trust me. Because that could have easily been Joseph Parker, who didn't give Fabio an opportunity, just waiting around, seeing what's going to happen. And boom, he gets elevated to full status champion. Ain't that something? Let me go ahead and get something to drink real quick, y'all. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes. Parker could have been two-time world champ. Yes, he could have. With the WBO, too. I think he got the WBO after he beat Andy Ruiz. He lost it to AJ. Hasn't been able to get one since then. Man, tough outing for Joseph Parker. Then on top of that, niggas calling you co-kids. It's like, oh my God. You got this situation going on where everybody's saying you love the Coco. You know what I mean? You over here trying to see what your B sample say. You coming off of a knockout loss, still got that motherfucking ice pack on your forehead and shit. Come to find out, Fabio Wardley a champion after you gave him an opportunity. And I think you was up on the scorecards prior to the stoppage. All you had to do was hold on. All you had to do was hold on, Joseph. God damn. My boy R3 in the building. Parker better hit Fabio with the rematch. Nigga, Fabio better hit Parker with the rematch. What you mean? Fabio the one that got to give him an opportunity, not the other way around. R3 in the building. So that's what you call corruption in boxing. If a guy is next in line, the champ must fight him or vacate immediately. I agree. You know, I was somebody who was pushing for that Joseph Parker and Usyk fight heavy. I didn't feel like there was anybody who was more deserving outside of Daniel Dubois, but you've seen Daniel Dubois get his opportunity multiple times. We've never seen Joseph Parker in the ring with Usyk. Usyk done disposed of everybody. He beat Joshua twice. He beat Fury twice. You know what I'm saying? He beat Dubois twice. You know what I'm saying? Like he knocking him down. He knocking him down. Joseph Parker, I was like, bro, I don't know if Joseph Parker could beat Usyk. I don't think he could beat Usyk, but goddamn, he deserves an opportunity. What else do he got to do? You know what I mean? Like he took the chance. He rolled the dice and attempting to fight Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois got sick. You know, Joseph Parker could have fell back. No, you took on a dangerous Martin Bacoli. 24-hour notice Martin Bacoli, but Bacoli's still dangerous. I seen Bacoli hurt Joseph Parker shortly before Joseph Parker ended up stopping him. I seen that. It's like, damn, this bro, I seen him come off the canvas twice against Julie Zhang and still beat him. I seen a lot of people doubting him against Deontay Wilder, including myself. I thought Wilder was gonna put Joseph Parker on the highlight reel. Guess what? He didn't. Did what he had to do, and he got those victories. Went through the fire. Can he at least get a title shot? But you talking about Moses Atama? Turkey talking about Moses Atama and Usyk is the fight? How fucking disrespectful are you? How could you say you a boxer fan and you ain't even respect what motherfuckers is doing in the game? Moses Atama is more worthy of a shot at Usyk than Joseph Parker? Are you high? You know, money can't buy intelligence, y'all. You can have all the money in the world, still be a dumb motherfucker. That's all I'm saying. God damn. My boy Anonymous in the building. He said the rematch would have been cool, but honestly, I think Parker might get a ban for that situation with the yayo. We seen fighters get bans for weed too. Yeah, that's definitely true. He could definitely get a ban. But in all honesty, man, like I said, I'm not trying to be like put double standards out there or anything like that. But like weed and cocaine and stuff like that, like I highly doubt Joseph Parker. And I don't have proof, so I can't definitively say this, but there's not many fighters who use cocaine in order to have some type of advantage in the fight. You know what I mean? Like when I look at marijuana, I don't see marijuana as being something that can be advantageous towards a fighter in the ring. I don't see that for cocaine either. You know what I mean? Like cocaine could, pick you up and stuff like that, but I don't really see what it does for you in the ring. That just, like I don't know if that increases your hand speed. I don't know if that increases your power. It might like improve your stamina, but I heard that cocaine you could crash. Let me see. Like you could definitely they got something called a cocaine crash or a coke hangover. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's really beneficial. I don't know if cocaine will be like a motherfucking clenbuterol or a ostarine. You know what I mean? Like I think that Joseph Parker was using them because he has a serious issue. I think he has some bad habits outside of the ring. I think he may have an addiction. That's what it looks like to me. You feel what I mean? I hope Joseph Parker just gets a fine. You know what I mean? Like a 6-month ban or whatever the case is, because he got to heal up from that Fabio Wardley fight anyway. That was a brutal fight. So you know what I mean? Get on like a 6 to 8 month fine. You know what I mean? I think a year would be a bit excessive, to be honest. Give him like a little fine, charge him a percentage of his purse and let him go about his business. You know why? You know why I say that? Because there's motherfuckers who tested positive for full blown PEDs. You know what I mean? Like full blown PEDs and got slaps on the wrist. So y'all want to go? These motherfuckers better not go out their way. They better not go out their way to punish Joseph Parker. I know that for sure. There's no way that y'all gonna be giving these motherfuckers slaps on the wrist for full on PED usage. Like, how many times Dillian White test positive for PEDs? They still letting him fight. How many times Alexander Povetkin test positive? They continued to let him fight for as long as he was fighting. Gerald Miller, he's still out here rumbling. Like, miss me with the bullshit, guys. Miss me with the bullshit. It's like, come on, bro. Damn, Ralph hit that shit on the money. He said, facts, slap on the wrist. Munguia about to get an M. Billy fight. Insane. Insane. The last thing that Jaime Munguia should be getting right now is any type of opportunity. Jaime Munguia need to sit the fuck down somewhere and, apologize for what he did. On some real shit, bro, what people need to start doing is, bro, we not going to give you your boxing license back until you admit that you did wrong and talk about what you're going to do in order to stop this from being an ongoing thing. Like, I would take that nigga money and invest, man. I would find his ass and donate that shit to fighters who are unable to take care of themselves, like Wilfred Benitez, like Pritchard Colon. That's what the fuck I would do. I would take your funky ass money that you don't deserve. Cause I genuinely feel like PED users, like unless they could really admit that they're innocent, like if they had like a prescription that they didn't put down on the exemption forms or something like that. All right, cool. Like I heard that with Luis Ortiz. He was on high blood pressure medication, right? I genuinely feel like PED users do not deserve their purse. There's no way. We are in a sport that's essentially sanctioned violence. 13 people per year are unalive from the sport of boxing. From the last time I've done my research, 13 people a year are unalive by the sport of boxing, right? So you take it upon yourself to being a dangerous sport as boxing, and then even make it more dangerous by putting things in your body that your body did not produce naturally. And you giving yourself an unfair advantage that could really cause a fighter to get seriously hurt, concussed, whatever, unalived, whatever the situation is. To me, when you decide to take that approach, you are the fucking scum of the earth. You don't deserve to be boxing. You don't deserve to have any of that money that was put in your pocket as a result of you taking that fight, because you did not fight under the rules that everybody recognizes in the sport of boxing. And part of that is not having any type of PEDs in your system, sir. You do not deserve the purse that you received that night. I don't give a fuck if you got $100 purse to fight somebody. Take that one Benjamin out that motherfucker's pocket. He does not deserve any money for his efforts. And nowadays it's like, bro, they don't even care. Like they don't care. You test positive, they'll act like they ain't raged for a few minutes. Then they back on dick. Like look what happened with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia came back to a stupid payday against Rolly Romero, rumbling in the middle of Times Square and all type of shit. Jaime McGee's about to fight Christian and Billy. He's given an opportunity. Insane. Jaime McGee ain't have to make no explanation. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing. He just said, bro, I know I didn't do it. It is what it is. Like zero accountability whatsoever. I will make these motherfuckers admit that they took it, why they took it, and then I would donate their purses to fighters, former fighters who are in need. Seriously. Like a lot of these former fighters that we enjoy watching on YouTube, or maybe even had the privilege of watching them live, they struggling learning how to talk. They struggling to keep up with their health care, with their medical bills. They have trouble speaking. They deal with all types of, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of that. That shit costs money to take care of. But they broke because the sport of boxing fucked them, or they probably didn't understand money, so they didn't know how to they didn't know how to preserve it. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would take these drug cheats purses and, donate it to Pritchard Cologne's family. You know what I'm saying? Like, why Al Heyman the only one still looking for Pritchard Cologne, from what I heard? You know what I mean? Like let's make sure Wilfred Benitez is still good, the youngest world champion in boxing history. He in a nursing home in Chicago right now and probably don't have anybody helping him out. Pritchard Cologne, I don't know what's up with him. I haven't heard from him in a long time. I hope he's doing well. How about, guys like Tommy Hearns, who, ain't looking so good right now. What's up with him? Is his finances okay? James Toney can't even get through a sentence. We got to really listen to really understand them getting through a sentence. Bella Faith in the building. What's going on, Bella? How you feeling? She said Jake Paul fights just don't interest me at all. So this one in particular right here may be the one with Anthony Joshua. This is the only one that interests me, to be real, because this is a fight that's unique in itself, because he's finally fighting somebody who's currently relevant in boxing. Yeah, AJ's coming off of a loss, but he still has something left in the tank, in my opinion. And I still think that Anthony Joshua today could still be some credible guys. You know what I'm saying? So this is a fight that is very unusual, but it's a fight that I'm very interested in, because I think that this is somebody who could really knock Jake Paul smooth the fuck out. So this is going to really show where Jake Paul at, man. Is Jake Paul this social media boxer that we all thought he was, or is he better than what we thought he was? It's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. My boy R3 in the building said, what was your reaction when you saw Jake versus AJ? I don't know if this fight is going to happen. I don't know if this fight is going to happen either, but I was actually on my way to work when I I was at a red light or whatever. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. You know what I mean? I click my Instagram tab, and the first thing I see is the announcement of Jake Paul versus AJ. And when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, okay. So that's what he was on Twitter doing all that. Ah ha 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 ha. Yeah, nigga. Yeah, I know something you don't know. I was like, Jake Paul got something. He just signed something. He just locked something, man. Boom, the announcement comes out within 24 hours of that. So I was like, damn, Jake Paul got some motherfucking nuts. Pause. I was like, that motherfucker need that motherfucker need, he needs something reliable to hold up his nuts, man. That boy out here, taking chances. I'm like, damn, this boy Jake Paul that took a step up fight before Tank. God damn, man. Just trying to see what that like. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But then I'm like, something don't sound right. Jake Paul gonna look for an advantage. He's gonna find something something to put in the contract to try to limit or at least hinder Anthony Joshua's performance. So I made a video about it earlier. I don't know if y'all seen me post it. I'm talking about the fight. I'm like, yeah, man, like blah blah blah. I'm giving the whole rundown. And I'm like, then the news comes out on exactly what the rules are. And I'm like, I fucking knew that. It was like I knew that Jake Paul didn't just take this fight without any type of stipulations. You know what I mean? 8-round fight. When AJ is literally a 12-round fighter. So that's going to be a huge switch up. You fighting Anthony Joshua on 4 weeks notice. And knowing that you are fighting him on 4 weeks notice, you're putting a weight restriction on a heavyweight. R3 said, what's the rules? It's an 8-round fight for 3 minutes. And then I think somebody was funny as shit in the comments the other day, said 8 1-minute rounds. But it's 8 3-minute rounds. 10-ounce gloves, which is standard. And AJ can't weigh no more than 245 for the fight. You know what I mean? So that's just what it is. That's what it is. So he's doing what he can to really hurt AJ. But from what I heard, AJ been in the gym. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that, he's been working out for a little while, getting back in the mix. So this might be an easy transition for him. But I'm going to tell y'all this. AJ, even if he's not fully prepared with the experience he got, he still should be able to beat Jake Paul. Like, I hope this motherfucker AJ don't lose. I didn't have time to prepare. I didn't have time to prepare. I don't want to hear none of that shit. That's a fucking sparring partner, bro. If you don't get this nigga the fuck up out of here, bro, you will forever be known as a motherfucking clown in the sport of boxing. I don't give a fuck how much you went on a decline. I don't care how much wear and tear, done caught up to you. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Jake might bring a bike to the ring. He gonna have to. He gonna have to. He's going to have to, because there's no way he's sitting in front of AJ. He's not. He's not going to be trying to box outside with AJ neither, like he was trying to do with, everybody else. He like to fight at, long range, mid-range. Not going to be able to do that with not with no Anthony Joshua, who's significantly bigger, and I'm sure has a longer reach than you. That's going to be a bitch. That's going to be a bitch. Man, I would like to see AJ just keep that jab out there. Keep that jab out there. Back Jake Paul up. He shouldn't be able to hurt you. I hope Jake Paul can't hurt you. You know what I mean? I would back him up behind the jab. Get him against the ropes, touch his shoulders, touch his arms, all that. Make him really feel your power. Set it up. Bring that, jab to the body. Bring that right hand over the top, bro. Ding. Bing. Knock his shit right out the frame. That's what I want to see. That shit should sound like an aluminum bat hitting a motherfucking baseball. Bing! Like one of those. If AJ don't put Jake Paul to sleep, There's definitely some bullshit going on. I'm gonna say that. Jake's gonna handcuff AJ's legs. He got the facts. That's a fact. That sounds like some shit he would do. Like AJ don't got the best punch resistance, right? Look who he done been punched by. Look who he done been knocked out by. Look who he done been hurt by. He been hurt by Dillian White. He been hurt by Usyk. He been hurt by Andy Ruiz. You know, he been hurt by Daniel Dubois. I don't know if I said that already. But he's been hurt by guys who are legit heavyweights for one and could fucking crack. You could even say Povetkin hurt him. I think Povetkin like bust his nose open or whatever the case is. Like you could say he ain't got a chin, but how many people do you know? Hold on. How many people do you know can take punches from them type of guys? Yeah, Nick J. Klitschko. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Klitschko dropped while AJ. Completely forgot about that. Facts, and I don't even see Jake Paul as a legit heavyweight. Me neither. I remember I was not too long ago. I was going through like pictures on Google Images of looking at how the way he looks, as a heavyweight. A lot of water in his system. He don't even got abs. To be honest, like to be real, Jake Paul really like a light heavy. Because even at cruiserweight, he looked a little pudgy. You feel what I'm saying? Like, go ahead, let's take a look. Let's see. He looked a little like this fight right here. When he fought Nate Diaz, what did he weigh at with Nate Diaz? That looks like his weight. He weighed 185. All right, so like he a small cruiserweight then. If he weighed 185 for Nate Diaz, he really a small cruiserweight. Because the way he looked on that scale with Nate Diaz, it looked like that was like the lowest he could get. Let's see where this shit is at. His face, yeah, he a small cruiserweight for real. Damn, but I think. Wait, what? You think Wilder could beat Jake right now? I don't know, bro. Wilder has looked so terrible. Like that might have been his best bet for real. Like if he was gonna fight any type of heavyweight, like for real, bro, Wilder would be a much like this current version of Wilder is a much safer bet than this current version of Anthony Joshua. Just my opinion. You know what I mean? Because Wilder seemed like his balance is a bit off. Power don't really look the same. Really don't follow through with his punches how he used to. Like bad balance issues, punch resistance, looking like it's declining. In his most recent fights, it's like I don't know, bro. I think that if I was Jake Paul and I was moving scary like him, and I was looking for like a best bet type of situation, and I got Wilder here, I got Joshua there, I'm walking towards Wilder. But if they was at their peaks, yeah, I'm gonna go see AJ. But neither one of them are at their peaks anymore. It's just that Anthony Joshua happens to have more left in the tank. But at the same time, we don't know what AJ got left because the last time we saw him, he got sparked. So we don't know how that's affected AJ. But, you know, I'm under the assumption that AJ may very well be enough of himself where he could spark a Jake Paul. I think he said scripted AJ losing something. Tank wasn't with. No, Tank was with it. Tank was with it, brother. He signed the contract, and he wasn't the one who pulled out of the fight. Jake Paul and them removed Jake Paul from the. Removed Gervonta Davis from the event. Tank was with it. Don't get it fucked up. He ruined it for himself. Even Wilder would beat Jake Paul today, a right hand, still a right hand. But Slime, his right hand hasn't been the same. Go look at it. Go look at how the way he shoots his right hands now. You tell me if that's the same we seen with Wilder. Technique was a big part of why Wilder was able to generate so much power. That technique ain't on that right hand no more, in my opinion. Not saying that I could take his punch, but shit, I'm seeing him hit guys with right hands now, and ain't nobody respecting it. I don't know, man. Weird situation. I was gonna talk about Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, but it's like they two fucking drug cheats that don't know how to stop running their mouth. Overrated as fuck. Battle of the low IQs. These motherfuckers got a lot in common, y'all. Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, they got a lot in common. Insecure, unsure of themselves, drug cheats, emotional, and dope fiends. Definitely both dope fiends. Unless AJ is completely shot to bits, AJ gonna hurt that boy bad and Ngannou style. I think that's what they banking on. I think they banking on AJ not being the same coming off of that knockout loss. I think they banking on AJ walking around heavy as shit in the lead up to this fight. That's why they put the weight limit on him. I think they banking on Anthony Joshua, being a slow starter, which is why they made it an 8 round and not a 10 or a 12. Listen to this, Mark. If Ryan fight Conor, I root for Conor. I ain't rooting for neither one of them, to be real. I could care less on who wins. But if you had to make me pick somebody, I'm going to pick Conor. Conor is way better than Ryan. He is. Ryan is one-dimensional. Conor Benn is a bit one-dimensional too. But Conor Benn is more versatile offensively. Like Ryan Garcia may be fast with that left hook, but in terms of like explosiveness, hand speed combinations, Conor Benn is far better than Ryan in my opinion. Conor Benn got a nice style, bro. I love the way he boxes. I just wish that his IQ was just a bit better. I wish he was a bit more intelligent in the ring. He's a bit too predictable for me. Like there was times where I was watching him fight, and I'm saying to myself, he about to throw the right hand. He about to throw the right hand. And he throw it right as I'm thinking. It's like, bro, the fact that I can notice what you're about to throw through a fucking TV because your patterns are that, predictable, it's crazy. Conor boxes way better. He does. Ryan staying straight up. You know what I mean? Tries to time you with a left hook, has no jab, has no right hand, has no footwork. Conor is the better athlete. He's, quicker in terms of like the mind, reaction time, better combination puncher, more explosive than Ryan, in my opinion. Like I just think he better than Ryan, but Ryan might be able to hit Conor with some shit that he don't see and probably put him out. But he's shown a great chin too. Like Conor, besides having like the hand speed, the combinations, the aggressiveness and all that, he comes in phenomenal shape. Conor Benn comes in phenomenal shape. You can tell he works hard in camp for sure. Unless he on that shit. I don't know. But anybody got any last questions before I get up out of here, man? I am tired. I got another early morning ahead of me. I do got the day off, but I got an early morning ahead of me. I got to prep for Bruce Carrington and all that. I gotta I gotta do some ripping and running. So we got any last questions before we get up out of here, man? Brian turns scary when he get hit. That's a fact. I told y'all he would against Rolly, man. That was probably my favorite prediction I made this year. Telling everybody Rolly was gonna beat Ryan, and people in my comments like, man, I thought you knew boxing, man. And Ryan's gonna slaughter. He's gonna slaughter Rolly, man. Rolly gets hurt. Rolly don't got a chin. Okay, I said all Rolly got to do is pick that motherfucking right hand up and don't let it fall. As long as you keep this right hand up, like the only way this should be coming off your head is if you throwing the motherfucker. Boom, boom, boom. It's the only way. He did it. It was easy work too. Super easy work. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I apologize for the short live. Been on here for an hour. I hope you guys appreciated the content as always. I'll be back at y'all 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tapping in with Bruce Shoo Carrington, man, the WBC interim champion at 126 pounds. We're gonna have a great conversation, man. I hope all 26 of you guys in the building are able to show up tomorrow. Just show y'all love, man. Ask y'all questions. I'm gonna try to get as much in before the time frame is up. You feel what I mean? But until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. Shout out to the nation and the mob. We in the building. I'm signing off. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.